head to court now. Contradicting statements, compromised crime scene. The forensic officer in the Senzo Meyiwa murder case has admitted to both of these. The murder trial of the former Bafana goalkeeper continued today as lawyers for the accused grilled Sergeant Thabo Mosia. Mosia admitted Meyiwa's 2014 murder was only reported to the police after 4 hours. Slindelo Masikane has spent the day in Pretoria. She joins us now. So, Sli, I mean, it is quite a big moment because Thabo Mosia, who basically has spent months on the stand, bearing in mind all those delays and problems with the case, has finally wrapped. Cross-examination is done. We've heard from the first witness. For you, looking back at everything he said over quite a long period of time, what are the key important moments?
I mean, Sally, I don't think we ever thought we would get to this point, but finally, Sergeant Thabo Mosia has wrapped up his testimony. He will no longer be returning to the witness box. And of course, he began his testimony back in April when we began this trial, just before we took that lengthy 2-month postponement for the lawyer for accused 5 to peruse docket 375. That's the second docket in this matter. We know that the cross-examination, even as early as April, for Sergeant Mosia has been quite a grilling. The defense has gone into a lot of detail in terms of scrutinizing not only his qualifications in terms of whether he was fit or skilled enough to be able to handle such a crime scene that was involving a high-profile figure, but also the manner in which evidence was collected and stored. We know that in cross-examination, issues around potential contamination and tampering came up. A lot of the issues in which Mosia collected the evidence, he conceded that, look, I didn't do A, B, C, and D. In fact, I needed assistance. At some point, I had to call a task team due to the magnitude of the crime scene. Some of the standout testimony for me is the fact that the pictures, over 200 pictures, if I'm not mistaken, that were taken of the crime scene. Sergeant Mosia only took about 8 of those. From what we understand, the bullet was only collected at his second visit to the crime scene, which was the following morning, when already we know that at that point, neighbors, police officers, a lot of people had already, been in and out of the house even before he arrived. The big one, of course, being the fact that he was only called to the scene 4 hours after the actual shooting took place. So those are just some of the issues arising out of the testimony of Sergeant Mosia, and the defense, I think, for many expert witnesses would say the defense has done quite a good job in terms of trying to discredit the work that was done by Sergeant Mosia.
Yeah, an admission that perhaps you didn't always follow process, or there were big delays and the scene was left unprotected, does open the doubt, the possibility that things were interfered with, which is, as you say, exactly probably what the defense wanted to achieve. But of course, he left court, he wrapped up earlier this afternoon, but you weren't done asking him questions, and he seemed quite amenable to answering your questions. What did he say to you?
Yeah. I had an opportunity to just speak to him before he left the courthouse, Sally, just to canvass how he was feeling about his testimony, about the delays in terms of him being called to the crime scene. Let's take a listen to what he had to say to me.
The time which was the case was reported to me, it opened very much too many questions to me.
Yeah. What kind of questions were you asking yourself about how long it took?
What was happening before I received the call? I'm not sure what was happening before I received the call, but it was abnormal. It was abnormal. I've been attending to crime scenes, but that time frame is too much.
Yeah, 4 hours is a very long time.
Very long time.
Yeah, I mean, he's acknowledged it right there. I want us to play another clip because he also spoke to you about how he handled the crime scene. Let's take a quick listen to that clip.
What I can say, that crime scene was very much complicated, and for me it was a bit heavier, and that's why I ended up deciding to And I ended up doing the necessary to call people who can help me. Yes, it was going to be very much difficult for me alone.
Yeah, a very tough case indeed. So he's done, finally, after months. Tomorrow, will we hear from another witness? Because we know there's a long list of potential witnesses who are going to take the stand. Do you have any idea who's going to be called?
You know, Sally, I wish I had some more information in terms of who we can expect. At this point, we're all still quite speculating. It could be another police officer who was at the scene. It could be somebody from ballistics in terms of the bullet that was found. But what we do know, Sally, is that the defense is pushing for the state to start calling those who were in the house on that night to take the stand. We know, of course, that at this point we have no idea if they're even going to be called at all. But at this point, what we can definitely confirm is that we won't be seeing Sergeant Mosia tomorrow, but certainly seeing a new witness who's going to give us even more details around the evidence against these 5 men in the dock.
All right, thank you so much for wrapping that all up for us. That's our reporter, Slindelo Masikane, who's covering the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial, which continues tomorrow.